Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 10 of the Learning Festival, brought to you by Crimson Education in collaboration with the Jain Group of Institutions, the Jain International Residential School, and the Crimson Anisha Global Schools, Pune. So, today, as we have our 10th workshop leader with us to talk about classroom dynamics through multiple intelligence, let me begin with a quick round of introduction for Dr. Rennie Francis. So, firstly, Rennie, thank you for joining us today and making time from your schedule.
Thank you so much, Hussein.
Thank you. So Dr. Rennie is currently the principal at the Pillai College of Education and Research in Mumbai. She has a varied experience of more than 19 years in facilitating teaching and learning with school students, teachers, and student teachers across India and the Middle East. She's completed a PhD in education and is also a recognized PhD guide, a member of the Board of Studies, and a member of the Syllabus Revision Committee of the Credit-Based Choice System with University of Mumbai. Besides these, she also wears some other hats. She's co-authored more than 22 books and presented several research papers in conferences and seminars conducted both nationally and internationally. Her main proficiency lies in conducting teacher trainings, just like she is with us this evening, to talk about classroom dynamics through multiple intelligence. So over to you, Dr. Rennie. Looking forward to a very interesting and enlightful session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hussein. It's always a pleasure to be speaking about topics that are very close to you and very close to your heart. And I've been attending all the sessions of the Learning Festival. Great kudos to JGI and Crimson for organizing such wonderful sessions for the teachers and for everybody. I feel all educators are benefited through these sessions, and it's really a privilege to be a part here. So I really thank the organizers to invite me for this particular session. So may I begin? We are good to
Yes,
go.
yes, please, ma'am.
Yeah. So here are we today with this topic, which is very close to my heart because it talks about multiple intelligences. Now, many a times we keep thinking, what is multiple intelligence? So we'll see through that in our today's session. I want us to focus on this particular slide. Okay. So I would request the participants to put in their chat box their comments. Meanwhile, I'll just take it up when y'all are putting through. So, looking at this picture, tell me what is that comes to your mind? What is it that comes to your mind looking at this picture, or what does it indicate? So, we have height. Okay, very good. Yes. Safety. That's nice. Survival, problem solving, how will I escape, risk taking, challenge, adventure. How did these animals get up there? That's also that's also a question. Risk, yeah, daring, true, looking for safety, yeah, challenge, yeah. So I'm just taking up all these words that I have. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm just taking risk taker. I'm just taking up few of those searching for food, also survival. Yes, every aspect of survival. I'm just taking this picture into a thought process and I'm trying to understand, are we all in this situation today where we are standing at a very thin line in our educational scenario, trust, yes, in our educational scenario, and then we are looking forward for a way. It could be survival, it could be safety, it could be a direction ahead. It will how will we go ahead? Many a times, certain times we come across a situation like this in our educational setup, where we have this a very thin line that we are walking on, and we as teachers have a very important role to play. And when I say we as teachers have a very important role to play, let me now move on to our next slide. So, if as teachers we have a very important role to play, what is our goal or objective as a teacher for year 2021? What do you think one goal, one important goal that you feel as a teacher you play for the year 2021? You can write down in the chat box. Okay, be the facilitator to persevere. Yes, very true. There. Okay, ensure that we reach the students, try to do the holistic development, make learning very true. Oh, I have a wonderful set of teachers with us, and who are already so enlightened with and they understand what their children need. So that's something really great. Yes, we have all these goal or objective that we have in our mind: motivational, emotional support. So, looking at the previous picture and the objective, keeping the objective in mind, it's now for us to decide, are we able to contribute to the best of our objective that we have in mind? Second, is our contribution making a difference in the life of our children? When we start looking at it, yes, you are trying to make it a joyful learning, back to kids in person. Yes, we are trying to look at this two perspective. And on these two perspectives, let's now look at the next slide that we have, which talks about a teacher. Now, for the next few slides, I am going to introduce you to a teacher called Miss Rupa. So she is Rupa teacher. She has come to the class, and now she is taking her attendance. And Rupa teacher is ready. Her children are there in the class. And as she goes on, she takes her attendance. She gives her students her work to write. They are all busy writing. They are now studying. So it's the classroom scenario that we always see. And at times, she has some children who are really being very disturbing towards her teaching. She is not able to teach well. Some of them are focusing, but others are not. She finds her class noisy, distractive, and she's unable to pay attention to them. And then she takes the test and she finds all the students in her class have scored the same grade. They all have a B grade. She's been wondering, what has happened? Why did my children get a B grade? They were all present in the class. And now she's looking at a scenario. They're all physically sitting in the class. But are they psychologically also with me? Or have they moved on? Have they gone to some other world thinking about something else? So do I have just students sitting in my class like this? Or do I have a situation like this where the students are in their own world and the grades is making her think, is making her realize? She's thinking. She's thinking www. Now, what is www? We have all been hearing this word www. What is www? What is it? What do you think it could be? World Wide Web? Yes. Okay, yes. But from Rupa teacher's point of view, www is what went wrong. What went wrong? And she is now thinking, I have done my best, but my class, there is something that has happened which has gone wrong, and now she needs to correct it. And she looks at a class environment or situation where she asks the child to write the chemical composition of water, and the child had to write H2O and has written it like this. So from the letter H to the letter O. So now Rupa teacher is very confused. She just doesn't know what to do. And now she needs to find a solution for this. And that's why now she's going to look at a situation. So she started thinking, I have a square in my mind. So I have been teaching all my children the same way. Though they had different shapes, though they had different ideas, but I tried putting them all in one same form of idea. Look at Rupa teacher here. A square in her thought, she started cutting off the extras or the other things or other aspects, the other thoughts that the children had, and she started now making them all think like a square. So these were certain things that really made Rupa teacher think. And that's when she saw this movie and she realized the role of a teacher. Now we
कितना कुछ था दुनिया में सीखने को और कितना कम वक्त। शायद यही वजह थी जो तुम्हारी उंगलियां 24 घंटे मेरे हाथों पर बोलती रहती और मैं सुनती रहती।
जिंदगी चाहे गर्भ से जन्म ले या जमीन से, उसका सफर तो अंधेरे में ही शुरू होता है और अंधेरे में ही खत्म होता है। एक दिन हम सबको इसी अंधेरे से गुजरना है और रोशनी तक पहुंचना है।
एक नई दुनिया के दरवाजे मेरे लिए खुल गए थे। न्यू वर्ड्स, न्यू थॉट्स, नए दोस्त, नई दुनिया और दुनिया देखने का एक अलग अंदाज।
तुम अपनी आंखों से जो सपने देखते हो वो कहीं ना कहीं।
No, she disagrees. She disagrees with the poet. आंखें सपने नहीं देखती, मन सपने देखता है। मैं आंखों से देख नहीं सकती, फिर भी मैं सपने देखती हूँ। हमारा सपना है कि मैं ग्रेजुएट बनूं।
So yes, so this is when Rupa teacher saw this clipping of the movie Black, and she realized that the role of a teacher is much beyond that we can even imagine. And it is being the voice, the eyes, everything for the child. And that's when she realized that there are differences in her students with respect to their abilities, and she needs to now address these differences. She needs to cater to them. She needs to create an environment that helps them to achieve. And that's when she started looking at multiple intelligence. She came to know about multiple intelligence and she wanted to learn more. So she went ahead and looked at this video.
So, when you
on
think of
multiple
intelligence, you normally think of the one intelligence that most people refer to, and that is intellectual intelligence. And Howard Gardner says there are actually multiple types of intelligence, and I'm going to go through them with this video. Now, the first is called logical mathematical intelligence, and this is basically what you think of when you think of intellectual intelligence. This would be stuff like logic, or if you're good at taking tests, you'll probably have pretty high logical mathematical intelligence. This also has to do a lot with critical thinking and making and reading graphs, as well as organization. If you like to organize your stuff and keep it very organized and are good at organizing it, then you probably have very high logical mathematical intelligence. Now the second one is called verbal linguistic, and if you have high verbal linguistic intelligence, you are probably good at saying that word. You are good at poems, you are good at rhyming words, finding words that rhyme, you are good at reading and writing, and you're good at learning other languages. You learn them pretty quickly compared to other people. And you're probably great at turning a little tiny story into a huge, fascinating story that can enthrall an entire room. The third is interpersonal. And interpersonal intelligence would be like understanding other people's emotions, understanding what the social etiquette and norms are of this situation. You have to be able to be good at reception to other people's moods and what motivates them. If you are a business administrator and you're good at motivating someone, you probably have pretty high interpersonal intelligence. If you're a good leader or just a manager in general, and you can coordinate work with other people, you are probably really intelligent in this interpersonal field. The fourth is body kinesthetic, which means you are good at handling and maneuvering your own body. You can handle objects skillfully and basically move them around however you want them to, as well as your body. People that are very intelligent in the body kinesthetic field are dancers, actors, soldiers, and even many sports athletes. The fifth is musical intelligence, and this is associated with rhythmic and harmonic music. Being able to interpret sounds, rhythms and tones and pitches, and being able to understand them on a level that most people can't understand. If you're good at this, you could probably compose or at least play an instrument. The next is visual spatial, and this is like basically how well can you visualize something in your mind's eye? How well can you think of something in your mind? And another example of this would be how well can you get through a maze? Can you see it in your mind's eye where you're at in the maze or a cornfield? And Gardner went so far as to say that this could even be used as to judging distances, or how well can you read a map? And the next type of intelligence is called intrapersonal intelligence. And this is different from interpersonal intelligence. Intrapersonal intelligence is more about how you understand yourself. Are you self-aware? Do you know what feelings you are feeling, what emotions go through your mind when you are in certain situations? How well can you control your thoughts and actions and feelings in general? Do you know your strengths and weaknesses? And the last, which came out a couple years after Howard Gardner came out with his multiple intelligences theory, is called natural intelligence, naturalistic intelligence. And this has to do with being able to recognize stuff in the real world. Basically, flowers and trees and anything that's living. Hunters and fishermen are pretty intelligent in the naturalistic field. So are chefs and botanists that can grow plants. And basically anyone that is learned in any biological science is pretty intelligent in the naturalistic field. Anyways, my next video is going to be...
So that's when Rupa teacher realized that there are multiple intelligences. The theory was propounded by Dr. Howard Gardner, and Dr. Howard Gardner said that every individual has at least these eight kind of intelligences at varying degrees. So it's not necessary that we start saying that, okay, you are not this intelligent, you're not verbal intelligent, or you're not musical intelligent. It is just that everybody has all these intelligences, but it is at a varying degree. So we have to now start as teachers looking out how we can tap these intelligences for our students so that their learning becomes more meaningful for them, and it's able for it would help them to choose the profession they would like to do in their future. So that's when we come to an MI classroom. So Rupa teacher is now introduced to an MI classroom, that is a multiple intelligence classroom. And now she has realized that classroom is just not writing about loads and loads of matter, but it is addressing each and every child's abilities, their needs, the diversity through a variety of activities that will help them to learn in a more beneficial manner. It will really enhance their learning experiences. So it could be through an individual work that the teacher can help the child to do, or a demonstration, group discussion, writing, experimentation, and many more. So we will now start looking. So Rupa teacher also wanted to have her classroom as an MI classroom, and there she began her journey in understanding MI. So this is a quiz now for y'all. Now we are going to go through all these 8 intelligences through a small list of certain activities, and through these activities we will start understanding what is that intelligence focus on, and what are the various ways that you can implement the particular intelligence activities in your classroom. So let's look at this quiz or this riddle. Which mathematical symbol can be put between 5 and 9 to get a number bigger than 5 and smaller than 9? So your chat is open. Come on, give your responses. Which mathematical symbol? Okay, greater, plus, okay. Yes, do we have any more answers coming through? Greater sign, lesser sign, okay, greater sign, okay, lesser sign. Yes, any more? Okay, that's great. Greater sign, okay, plus, okay, that sounds nice. Okay, so okay, that's okay, lesser sign. Okay, now, okay, most of them are either a greater sign or a lesser sign or a plus sign. Okay, okay, now we take this answer here. Now let me take up this answer. Okay, so I'm here giving out the answer. So thank you for your responses. The mathematical symbol that you will be putting between 5 and 9 is a point. So the number becomes 5. I'll explain the reason for that. 5.9. The symbol that you have put is a point sign. Why? Because if you put a greatest number sign, then the number will not be, so you need a number which is greater than 5. You need a number. So that number should be greater than 5. So 5.9 is greater than 5, and you need it to be smaller than 9. So 5.9 is smaller than 9. So like this, when you start doing it in the class, you are trying to create an interest among your students. You're trying to create that learning quest that they really look out for. So that's logical intelligence, where you're dealing with numbers, abstractions, reasoning, and all this is just helping them to think beyond the regular set of things that we generally have. So now the child starts thinking further. So if you present a graph, if you present a question, if you present a pattern, there is a link that is being thought of. So if you are presenting a graph which has, which is depicting, a graph represents a thousand words. And just looking at the graph, you are able to estimate so many things rather than somebody reading out a big paragraph. So many things can be condensed, so many things can be expressed through logical intelligence, through abstractions. This was one simple way of using abstractions in the class. So how will you use mathematical or logical intelligence in your class? Is create sequences. You can create a sequence of, even today, our aptitude test consists of sequences. So if you have a Venn diagram, that can also help them to understand. If you have sequence of numbers, and then you have three numbers, and then you ask for the fourth number, there is a pattern that it follows. That's also used today. A sequence of maybe symbols. You can use charts. You can have a shopping expense, the monthly expenses, the budget. You can explain or teach them budget through that. What is the income? What is the expenditure? What is the contingency that you're trying to make up through? So you're creating a mind map. You are asking them to think about one. There is an abstract concept given in front of you, and you ask them to think further on that. You're creating or generating ideas. You're creating a code, a alphanumeric code. Sometimes you can play a game saying that there is a secret message that you need to convey to somebody. Or you can talk about times, when you're teaching history, you can talk about a time in the past when they didn't have language, so they used some kind of a coding method. Could be a code, could be formed of flowers, or could be formed of stones, or could be some kind of an image. And through that, you are trying to decipher, or you're trying to send a message, and the other person starts understanding the message. So that's one way of teaching. Approximation. How far are you standing from the window? They, many a times our children are unable to measure visually. They are unable to understand, okay, what is the length, what is the breadth. So maybe using their body parts, their hand, their feet, they are able to measure. So they know that this room is 10 by 10. So these are certain abstractions that you can make the child do. And it does not require too many things. It's just a question, just one thing, and then they start thinking about it. Logical puzzles and games, like we saw in the video, there are a lot of games that Sudoku is a very good kind of abstractions that you can, or logical thinking it generates. Classification, you start classifying the objects, the things, the numbers, so you exactly know how many things you have classified under a particular category. Quantifying, you're able to quantify. There was a video that I had seen when I was looking up to for the resources. So there was a teacher who gave them a jar of rice, and he said, and she asked the students, how much is it? So many a times we play the games, okay, how many marbles are in this bottle? So this teacher who shared this jar of rice, the student felt it is very easy to count. And then then the children realized that to count every little rice was so difficult. So like that, they are able to estimate. Then it is so quantification through that calculation, outline, a timeline you are giving. Give them a timeline of every little small thing. It could be with respect to the kind of situation that, okay, when did we start our first lockdown, what happened here, what happened. So these timelines also help them to understand. You're showing symbols and for letters and objects. So there is a symbol, there's a sign language that you're using. These are all kind which will help you in logical intelligence. Okay, so now we move on to the next intelligence. There are three images given to you. Okay, so there is a car, there's a house, there's a car, and there's some kind of professional degree that you would. Now, out of the kind of the emojis that you can see besides each of them, tell me if this is the first one and this is the fifth one. Okay, you can write for yourself. You need not put it up in the chat group, but you can write which one do you prefer at this point of time. Today, which is the preference? What is the preference that you will give for a car, for a house, or for a degree? Just take a minute or so and just rate your preference for the car, for the house, and the degree. So this one, the smiley face being the first one, and a little bit sad face being the last. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which of them do you place for each of them? Okay, put your preference. Okay, so some of them have said, um, so house and car, degree, two house. Okay, okay, so that's nice. Okay, okay, so degree, house, car, that's nice. Okay, so now you have been able to put your thoughts regarding. Some of them have even said they don't want the other things, but they just need two houses. Okay, so you have moved on to your own preference. Now that's called as intrapersonal intelligence. Now, what is intrapersonal intelligence? It just speaks about how how you perceive certain things, how you feel about something, what is your need, what is your capacity. We always have done a SWOT, that is strength, weakness, opportunities, challenges. We have been able to understand what are our strength, what is our weakness, and we are being able to channelize our energies towards the strength and help to do it much better. So, the same way, knowing your abilities and knowing your limitation, keeping in mind both, when you start learning or when you start doing things, that's when intrapersonal intelligence comes into existence or comes into the foresight or comes into limelight. So, you are you're able to understand yourself. Many a times we have a feeling that at a particular situation or seeing someone, you may feel sad, or seeing someone just makes you feel so happy, and when you're so happy you are able to do more things. Even in class, we go to the class and we see that, okay, this is now, if you announce to the children, okay, your teacher, this teacher is absent, suppose, let's take, no offense to any subject, but suppose if we say that this particular teacher is absent, then the children like, oh yeah, wow. So now you have a zero period or you have a PT. Oh wow, that just shows their excitement. So they want to, it could be because they are not able to express what they are at. So intrapersonal intelligence is more to do how you understand a situation and how you can work on your ability to do better. So knowing yourself, self image, the best way is always to give yourself an emoji. Okay, how do you feel today? What do you want to gift yourself? Suppose if I was asked by somebody, what do you want as a gift? So I'll start thinking, oh, so many options are there, like the house, the car, and the degree. I will start thinking, which one do I want now? So what do you want? What makes you happy? What makes the child happy? The same way, the learning has to bring that happiness to the child. So what makes a child happy? Show emojis, draw your mood. Sometimes it is, you just can't draw. Even a small little, even an apple is something that you can't draw well because you're not in a good frame of mind. So when you are unable, when you are not in a good frame of mind, the child is unable to focus on the learning. So you can prepare a timetable, you can start making the child to realize how they feel today. So we have seen in many times as a teacher, so good morning all of you, how do you feel today? So when you have that expression, there is so much of vibrancy in the class. Whereas if I go, good morning, students, how are you feeling today? No life. So intrapersonal intelligence is just to help that child to understand his or her challenges and strengths and then build on that. If the child likes drawing, if the child likes something, give more activities for the children to that. Not that we are just going to focus on one, but give an alternate. So if there is something like, if it could be simple as of a water cycle that I always keep telling, the water cycle can be written also as a big answer, and the water cycle can also be drawn. Through the drawing, if somebody who's not very good at very big answers, through the drawing, you can teach the stages of the water cycle. The child will remember that, and maybe that drawing itself makes a kind of a, a constant memory for the child. So it could be to connect yourself to an ideal. You may have an ideal. So start relating. Make the child to think what he or she likes. Most like corner. You ask the child what you like the most. Which color do you like the most? Why do you associate yourself to a particular color? What is it that brings so much of happiness to a color, to a product, to a thing, to an object, to a person? And play the game. You can even have this I, me, myself. What am I? Who am I? What do I want? What am I aiming for? These are certain questions that can be done for any age group, because every time we are still searching for something better for our life. Okay, now here again, your chat boxes are open. Look at this picture and tell me, what can you see in this picture? What can you see in this picture? Man and a child, okay. Child, nature, tree, okay, man, scenery, child, man, okay, tree, man, nature, face of a boy, okay, man, tree, very good, very, absolutely wonderful. Yes. So, yeah, thank you so much for all your answers. Yes, this picture will give you an understanding of many other things that are a part of this entire picture. So let me just focus this on a holistic view, on a bigger outlook. You can see a big painting of a tree here. There are two houses here. There is a stone here, and there are grasses here, and these are for certain things that you can see here, stones and kept here. But if you're trying to look at it, you can also see a bird and some clouds. And but if you start looking at it more closely, okay, so there is a bigger picture and there's a smaller picture in a bigger picture. So let me just talk about the smaller picture. Now there is, if you see here, there is a boy who is sitting, who is trying to draw something in this frame, okay, and he is probably trying to draw a scenery which has a mountain here and a tree and few houses, and he is looking that side, probably looking there and copying and looking at that and trying to draw a picture here. This is a small box that he has. This is his legs, and this is the kind of an image that he is trying to draw. Yeah, on the holistic view, this could be the eyes of, this is the eyes of the man who's there in the picture. This is his nose, his lips, his chin. So there are two images in a single image, two or more. There are two or more images. That is perception. The kind of eyesight, the kind of vision we have for certain things. We have sometimes a broader vision for certain things, whereas there are some people who have a narrower vision. You might have seen some people are very, very particular, even of the smallest thing that they see. Okay, this is not kept properly, this is not here. Oh, okay, this placement should have been here. They're very particular, even of the minutest thing. Our classroom also have children who have these abilities of looking at a bigger picture. Some of them will look at a holistic picture, whereas there are some who will look even at the smallest, the color, the size, the object. And that's when we give them the learning experience, we have to remember that we have children who have different mindsets. And these different mindsets are because of the way they look at things. So our teaching practices should enable this. And that kind of an intelligence is called as a visual intelligence. The way you start looking at things, a visual judgment, looking at things. And so even if the place that you're sitting now, look around without even looking. Can you tell where is the window, where is the door, how far is the door, where is the fan, is it in the right or the left? So many things. A visual judgment is necessary, is needed. A child should be able to understand his surrounding. A child should be able to understand whatever is around him. And that's the visual judgment that we should do, we should give our children in the class. So that can be done through looking at the puzzles, looking at images, building, drawing, having a guided imagery. Many a times we make our children go through a gallery walk. What happens in a gallery walk? They look at various images and they start thinking about it. When you take them for a painting exhibition, you look at certain things and you feel so happy. You look at it and you say, oh, this is so beautiful. Why is it? Even a flower sometimes looks very beautiful. Why does it look beautiful? What is it that makes it beautiful? That's something that you need to make the child think about through visual intelligence. And what are the activities for that? You can have a mind map. You can have a mapping stories where you can map them. Okay, what are the, suppose if you have an outline of a story, then you can now start looking at which image comes first and which image comes later. You have graphics which can be used for teaching something. You have an imaginary shape. Okay, ask them to think about something in imagine. How do you think a ball should look like if it is not circle? Many a times I used to always ask my children, what if we have the wheels as square and not as circle? What would have happened? Give them such thoughts. A collage, a poster, patterns. Again, there is a series of patterns that can be taught. The position or places. Why should a flower pot be placed here? Why should a camera be placed here? Why should a painting be here? Why should the wall clock be there? Ask questions that will initiate their thought process. Object size and distance and color coding. When you start focus, why is a rainbow, why is it that color? Why can't you paint a rainbow with a different color? Or why now start looking at why is an apple red? What will happen if you color the apple in a different color? Will it now look like an apple for you? Will you realize that it is an apple? Even today, if you close your eyes and start thinking about apple as a fruit, or let's take mango as a fruit, the image of mango comes to your mind as a fruit because you have seen it. And the image of watermelon doesn't come when you speak about mango. That's because they start imagining things how they see. So give them an exposure to look at things, understand it more better. Now, here is another activity that you need to do. This, I'm so sorry. This is about you will be taken in an airplane now very soon, and you need to carry, because there is a zombie attack that you have seen. I'm sure that most of us have seen a lot of zombie movies during this period of lockdown. So there is a zombie attack, and you will be taken in an airplane. Pick up any 7 items that you will carry with you. Okay, so out of them, pick up any 7 items. So what you could do, rather than writing all the seven one after the other, write it in the chat box with a comma. Which 7 items will you carry with you? You are taken in an airplane. Yeah, there is a faster finger first. 7 items taken in an airplane with you because of the zombie attack. Which 7 items will you take? Is it difficult to choose 7 items? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have vegetable, clothes, bread, water. Yes. Water, medicine, bread, radio, batteries, food. Okay, fine. Bread, jam, water. Okay, okay. Oh, that's so nice, Carol. You have specifically mentioned everything in detail. Water, fruits, medicines, okay, power bank, charger, water, clothes, money, footwear, rupees, medicines, machine guns, okay. Okay, fine. That's so nice. Okay, okay, that's good. Oh, that's wonderful. So I found one among them. I found somebody. Let me just go back and check. Um, yes. Uh, so somebody has even written, okay, medicine, knife, pillow. Okay, wonderful. Money. Somebody has written money, though money was not an option. That person has even thought about money. Okay, good. So now, did you see? Thank you so much for your responses. Did you see here? There were options given to you, and these options were in such a way that they could take these objects with them in an airplane. So first, you need to remember you're going in an airplane. Along with you, there might be so many people who would be there. So the first thing is you can carry only limited stuff because otherwise it's going to be very heavy. Second, you need to now then think about the various things that you're going to carry. Now, you don't know how long your flight is going to be or where is it going to land. So, what kind of things will you take? Okay, are you going to take things that are perishable? Are you going to take things that can be stored? And most of the times, if you think if the airplane is taking, probably they have kept they have kept some food ready for you. um, are you going to land in a place where there is no electricity? Are you going to, you are so unaware. Whatever is your need, you have picked up those things. So every child, when the child starts picking up those things that he or she wants, is making a choice. And when you start making a choice, it is more to do with an activity, more to do with an action, because you're starting to visualize thing. Okay, you're start going to do something, and that is kinesthetic intelligence, whereas it's called as bodily kinesthetic intelligence. You're able to control your body actions, you're able to control the or handle the objects, you're able to learn through visualizing it physically. And how can you do that? You can do it through a role play or a puppet show. We have most of our learnings today are focused through a role play, can be focused through a role play, dramatization, hot seat. What is a hot seat? It's a kind of a situation in a role play where that person, every person gets a chance to be on the hot seat and uh, and uh, 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 and do certain things. It could be like if I have been given a role of playing of a queen or a king, then as a king I may say something. So the soldiers who are there with me, they start thinking, how I wish I was a king. So for them, give that hot seat position to them. You become a king. So every time the hot seat is, you become the spokesperson, you become that person who takes charge. And in your opinion, how will you do things? The next is through games, through interviews. Do small interviews. How do you feel today? What do you think you are going to do today? How do you feel about the climate? What do you think about what has happened? What do you think about the COVID-19 situation? What do you think? So you are giving a chance to others to talk. You are interacting with them and you're learning from them so much. Sign languages, exercises and dances, involving them in activities loosens their body, loosens their self, and they are able to do much better. Gardening, dumb charades, small little things. We generally play this dumb charades game at home also, which says, okay, tennis, or it would be table tennis. So I will enact as a table, and then I will show the thing as a tennis, which shows that, okay, a table tennis, or a bat and ball, or some word, and through actions you're showing it to them. You can ask the students to do that, and that can be through word for word building or many other activities. Sports, passing the parcel. In the parcel, you will give them the thing that they have to pick up, the chit, can be with respect to a content-based question that you have taught, a chapter-based question that you have taught. So you have taught them and they will give answers. So it is, and then cooperative learning, coming together in a group, learning as a group work, as a project work. These are things which will help the kinesthetic intelligence among students. Okay, here we have another direction. Now, okay, so this is a direction map, and here they have to start with the scrapyard, and they have to go up to the cinema and meet friends at the um, they have to meet friends at the skate park, and you have to use only 5 sections of the road. So when you are going to give direction to the person, you are telling which side to go. So many a times we get a call and say that where are you? So I am at on the left hand side you see this, on the right hand side you see this. We keep telling, but who's left? Your left or the person to whom you are talking to? We keep asking, which direction are you coming? Which way are you going? What can you see here around? So, the same way, when you are guiding somebody to something, that's when you are focusing on interpersonal intelligence. It is a interaction between two people and the vibing that you create between two people. So when you are teaching in that class, you need to have an activity which has a lot of scope for interaction. How you feel today. If somebody is very angry, then start finding out why that person is angry. Start talking to that person. It is more to do with how you will start building good relationship with others. You're talking about an interpersonal relation where you're talking how to empathize with others, to look at others from their point of view. When the children keep saying, ma'am, I'm feeling my stomach is paining, start thinking what could be the reason. Just by shunning the child off, no, go, you go back and sit there. Start finding out why. What did you eat? Did you eat anything in the morning? What did you eat last night? Okay, did you have milk? You're trying to find out what you're trying to build, that relation. Same way in the classroom, you're going to do that through various activities. That is an interview or a peer buddy. You have these buddy system in school where you help them to have friends and interact with each other. Knowing your partner, have a small interview. How much do you know about your friend? What is your friend's birth date? What is her favorite color, or what is his favorite food? Know others. And that's very important, not only for learning but also for many other activities. See, today we find students feeling a little bit left out is because they do not have friends that they can share with. And sometimes just a phone call away or just sharing their views will really make a lot of difference. They might be facing a challenging time, and your call and the call that they make to you could be one lifesaver. So start interacting, build that very, very cordial relationship, showing directions. Like I said, you which side of the left side or which right side. Treasure hunt, it's another game that you can do where you're teaching about math, you're teaching English. While you're teaching English, the treasure hunt can be of words, of verbs, of adjectives. In math, also you can use treasure hunt for skip counting, or could be addition, or it could also be the percentage that you're talking about. Meeting of minds, I and you start a discussion and planning for an event. What are the things that you require to plan a particular event? So you are not only going to have a group work that you encourage here, but you are also teaching them compatibility, adjusting. Many a times the students, some of the stars in the class are not able to handle or to mix up with the isolates in the class. We have these kind of a segmentation that we do, stars and isolates. So that needs to be understood very clearly. Okay, here we come with the next video.
अच्छा गाड़ी में रहो क्या कर रही हो
Jack.
Sorry. I'm so sorry about it.
अच्छा
Can I help?
Jack. हो गया कहाँ से सीखा?
पापा को देखा था। अब चले।
तुम कब इतने बड़े हो गए? हॉर्लिक्स।
So if you see this ad denotes so much. It's just there are not always that there are actions that denote things. There are words. There are things that are told, and these are certain things that can be just memorized, or you know it is just sinking in your memory, and you can just pen them down. Looking at an image, you can start writing so many words, and that's verbal intelligence, the linguistic, where it is more to do with spoken, written, talking about things, stories, how you would say the same thing to another person. If I have to describe today's this ad to somebody else, how would I tell them? So they can be done. Verbal intelligence can be encouraged through riddles. You ask them small riddles and ask them to come up with a word. Questions, storytelling, word building, self initiated writing. You start with a word and then pass on to the entire class. The whole class keeps writing something or the other. Narratives, stories. There are so many stories. With one single ad, you can create so many stories and ask them. Now, showing this ad, you can ask them to now start explaining or telling them, okay, what do you decipher from this? What do you understand? And they'll keep speaking. I have also learned this from my dad. I have learned this from my mom. This is how I do things. There is so much of interaction that you will encourage. Conversation, you're building a conversation. There are silent conversations, there are verbal conversations, there are audio recordings, poetry reading. These are certain things that you, so looking at an image, if you ask a child to say something, that's also encouraging them to verbal intelligence. Okay. Now I want you to hear this music and just tell me which music does it. Okay, which music is this? Airtel, yes. Somebody had just asked me about Meeting Minds. I will come back to that very soon, ma'am. Yes, we didn't show the name of Airtel here, but how did you realize that it was Airtel? How did you realize that it was Airtel? Yeah, because you had heard about this ringtone many a times. Yes, same time, the same way we can encourage musical intelligence in our students by going back to certain rhythm. Many a times we always think, okay, the sound that we hear are only the ones that are loud and clear, but there are sounds that are very faint, but we still hear. When you're sitting now for the session, there is the sound of the fan that is moving. There are some other things that are moving. Maybe a paper is just moving. These are certain sounds. When you are in a traffic, you through the sound you come to know whether it is a car that is honking, or whether it is a lorry, whether it is a truck, whether it is a bicycle, whether it is a scooter. Awareness of the sound to a specific object, you have related it. Likewise, yes, likewise, you have to encourage in your class certain sounds, and that will help them. See, sound music always is a very good therapy that we talk about. and it calms your mind. So when you have all these very loud music and too many things, start a day with maybe you can start with a very soft, soothing music. In between, also towards as you end, also you want to channelize their energies in the right direction. Focus on a sound that it helps. And when the students are doing too much of activity based things, put a small music that will help them realize, think more, help them to think better or think more. So sing aloud is another activity. Create a jingle. Ask them to create a jingle for their own product. If they have to sell something, if so, what is the jingle that they will make, and a sound to that. Sound with instruments. What are the different sounds that you can make on the using various instruments? With a plate, what sound you can get? With a spoon, what sound you can get? With a wooden object, what sound you get? These sounds will help them to understand. Make identify the sounds like we did today. Make time for music in the class. It's never going to be a waste of time, but it is just going to help your children to calm down and revitalize in a better way. Phonics, record the way you speak. We are sometimes unable to pronounce certain things, so record and see and hear it, speak and hear it. So you will be able to learn, the children will be able to learn their pronunciation. And associate object with sound. uh, we have our naturalistic intelligence, which just focuses on how we look at nature and things around us. Many a times I always keep going to the sessions and I start telling them, okay, draw a scenery. And when we draw a scenery, the common things that I have still found in many of the sessions is we have a mountain, we have a sun, we have a river, we have a tree, we have boat in the river, and maybe a hut. But is that the scenery that we see around today? Why are we not seeing those scenery that we have? The congested roads, if you're talking about a place like Mumbai, where I reside, congested roads, tall buildings, and all huts and slums. But when I'm drawing, I do not draw that because the scenery that I was taught in school is so registered in my mind. So start looking at things around, make the children look at things around, and then they will start focusing. So various activities that you can focused with naturalistic intelligence is to label things. Which tree, where it is, how big, where is it found? Start, they are able to label and categorize. Conserve. Talk to them about the importance of conserving things, conserving our nature, protecting our environment, why we should not do certain things, why your actions can harm the environment. A study tour, places of visit and their importance. This is there in all, even when you're teaching math and you're teaching about percentage. Start talking about what is the percentage of trees that are grown here, what is the percentage of the flora and fauna in this place, what is the you're talking about fractions, and then you talk about the number of trees that are cut every year. You talk about the fractions with respect to the buildings or rural and urban. Encourage them to watch National Geographic channels, create magazines, posters, photo sessions, photo events. So during lockdown, we had a lot of photo session events that were happening. People would capture those specific photos and post it. What are they? On the Facebook and many other things, we see this 10-day photo challenge of various places. Just telling them you are also, so many of my friends did it and they tagged me, and I used to think, oh, that's a wonderful place that I would like to visit. And I started reading more about those people, about that place. Wealth from waste, nature trail. These are certain things that will help you to understand how you look at the naturalistic intelligence. When we speak about all this, this is a very, very interesting thing that I like in my class. Here he says that I taught Stripe. Now, Stripe is the dog, name of the dog. So this boy says, I taught Stripe to whistle. Okay. But the other boy says, I don't hear him whistling. So this boy says, I said, I have taught. I did not say that he has learnt it. So we may teach in the class, but are our students learning is something that we are looking forward to. And when we look forward to that, Then we start looking at MI, multiple intelligences, as one class, one main aspect that you can change the entire classroom. You can have through multiple intelligence, you can focus on the career options that they can choose. What kind of a thing that, what kind of a career what are they good at? Identify their intelligence. What are they good at? How can you tell them what they are doing? And channelize your classroom activities in such a way that each of the intelligence is tapped, and it is not difficult. I have done in my PhD. My PhD was on, my doctoral studies was on multiple intelligence, and I have done it across schools of different boards, and I really know that it really works in every classroom. So when we come to this, here is one statement: everybody has a fair chance to a test. But if you are going to test on, okay, only if you get good marks you are capable of clearing the test, then among these animals, you know what it means. So when we are talking about everybody has a free chance to selection, but if the exam says please climb that tree, then then you're not giving a chance to everybody. Same way, every child has intelligence in varying degrees. You need to see where this child needs to be tapped so that he can do his best. So what kind of a teacher you want to be? There's a small little video that I would like to share in what kind of a teacher you want to be.
कमर तोड़ रास्ते तो बदले नहीं और ना ही प्लैटिना कंफर्टेक का 20% कम झटकों का प्रॉमिस। आप फिर से खुद ही देख लीजिए। गुड लक बेबीज।
Humpty Dumpty, Humpty Dumpty, Humpty Dumpty, Dumpty Humpty, Humpty G Wat, Dumpty G Tat, Humpty G Wat, Dumpty G Tat, Humpty Dumpty, Humpty Dumpty, Humpty Dumpty, Humpty Dumpty, Humpty.
So this is exactly what I would like to end my session with, saying that we are the riders, the bike riders, okay? All as teachers, we are the bike riders. The students are sitting, it is on us. There are bumpy roads, there are difficult situations. Going back to the first slide, there is a thin line that we are crossing each day. There are a lot of challenges, but it is on us how we make our students ride smoothly in the learning process. So you need to decide how you're going to make your students' learning more enjoyable and more interesting by catering them to their multiple intelligence. Here, so these are the references. These are few websites also that you can refer for certain kind of resources for multiple intelligence. And here am I. Thank you so much for being so interactive throughout the session.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rennie. It was really nice. And I think, all those videos added so much more, this to the entire session and made it so interactive. And thank you to all our participants also. We're seeing a constant flurry of messages on the chat. So that just goes to show, how involved they were in the entire process.
Thank you so much.
Participants, I think there were a couple of y'all who had some questions during the chat, during, Rennie's session. So if you would want, we've given you rights. You can unmute yourself and ask, ma'am, or you can post it on the chat box.
So would you like to just stop sharing the screen?
So yes, I will do that. Yeah. So I would like to come back to that question on that we had was mind. Can I get back that question? It was on mind. Ma'am, can you just...
Yeah, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
This is Sunanda from DPS Varanasi. Ma'am, the question was on mind reading. That was I am you. How can we conduct that in my class?
Meeting minds. So meeting minds is a very interactive way of talking when you are pairing students and trying to talk, giving them same kind of a question. Suppose if I make two students come together and they have a common set of questions, and then they say, okay, so I went to, I like ice cream. And this child says, oh, but I like gulab jamun. Somebody, I just saw gulab jamun in future, and I like gulab jamun. Then they start telling, okay, why do you like gulab jamun? I have never tasted gulab jamun. And then she or he says that you should taste, it is so juicy. It's so, and then that kind of a feeling, bringing those two minds together to a certain concept and trying, giving an exposure even to try. Certain times we are reluctant to try. We don't want to really try or venture into something. So meeting minds is a great way of interacting and connecting to people into various forms of learning that will help them to learn better. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Sunita.
Nice session, ma'am. Excellent.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much for your appreciation, all of you. It's really wonderful because you all were so interactive, and that really made the session drive through so well.
Ma'am.
Yes. So
Namaskar, ma'am.
Namaskar.
Ma'am, I'm Srinivas from RDF Kalada High School. Ma'am, can you explain us about the children? How do we categorize the children as per the 8 multiple intelligence? The test, is there any, could we conduct the test to them?
Yes, sir.
How could we conduct the test?
Yes. So online, you will get free multiple intelligence chart where there are statements given and the student ticks mark. And when the student ticks mark those statements, you will be able to identify the preferred or the intelligence that he or she is very good at. So like that, you will be able to categorize your children. It's a ready-made set of statements that is available on the net. And for different age groups, even from the smaller to even for us, for adults also, there are multiple intelligence. It is called as multiple intelligence checklist, and that can be done, administered to your students. So that will help them to identify and then create activities for that.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Yeah, you're welcome. So Priyadarshini, you have a question on MI assessments. Yes, multiple intelligence assessment is another, because we are now always on a paper pencil test that we believe and we feel that's the end of assessing a child's capability. So multiple intelligence test assessment can be done through, when you want to grade a child, not only on the paper pencil test, but through an activity, through a role play, through a drawing, through some kind of presentation, through a project. These are various forms where you can use MI to judge. So if you are asking a child to do a project, then looking at that child, the project work, you are able to find out the fineness of work. So the visual intelligence is catered where the fineness of work, the clarity, the exactness of work is determined. The concept will give you an understanding of the logical understanding that you have. Then if you're asking the product, what are the resources that are used? So if you are talking about using a lot of resources to create, maybe, that is more on the extravaganza that you're, so then that can be looked into. Okay, you need to be more naturalistic intelligence, limited resources that you will use to make a good product. So these are ways where you can, I will, Shashima, yes, there are a lot of, so if you go back to the slide that I had put up, there are ways of multiple intelligence assessment methods that is also available on the website. Can I just go back to maybe if the organizers can share the references screen. It has a lot of references which talks about the kind of resources that you can use for teaching as well as for testing of multiple intelligence.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm only Priyadarshini from Jain Public School, Shimoga.
Yes.
Will that not be very time consuming? Because each and every class, I think, is this multiple intelligence activities works.
Yeah, okay. So I'll come back to you on a very, very important note. So this is just sharing a glimpse with you about my PhD, and it was on multiple intelligence. But along with multiple intelligence, I had another aspect that I had taken up, that is revised Bloom's taxonomy, that you all might be aware of. Revised Bloom's taxonomy talks about the various levels of cognitive domain. When we say cognitive domain, we start from a child understanding, that is remembering a concept, to creating something. So there are 6 levels, that is remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So I had created a grid which said about MI on one side, and the levels of domain, that is remembering to creating, on the other side. So suppose if I was teaching a topic on pollution. When I was teaching pollution, I started with verbal intelligence, started with a story, so remembering, and went on by, in the end, in creating a slogan about pollution. That was the creating aspect. So the child in between heard the story, understood it, spoke about the characters. So there were two people who were involved in the story, spoke about the characters, how they used, how they were using different forms to pollute the environment. They started debating, critiquing it, giving their opinion, and in the end created a slogan. So this is one day of one class which took me through the process, and I was able to understand how they are understanding the story at one part and creating a slogan with a meaningful response. So it doesn't take too much time, but if you ask me, all the lessons cannot be taught through MI, but yes, majority of them can be taught, because your work as a teacher, rather than explaining it again and again, gets simplified, because now you're going to cater to many students at a time, and you're able to run through these exercises in a very nice way. I mean, they just do it. So I did this with 80 students in my class, and also with 35 students in my class, and it worked out very well through the students that I did. I had 736 students who did this, and all the 736 were able to do this, all the activities of these 8 intelligence and 6 levels successfully.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That's
You're
really great.
If you ask me how far you think MI will be help in assessing, it is very important. Today our major concern is we are unable to identify what the child needs. We are unable to look, we find our children so confused with so many professions and so many kind of opportunities around. They are unable to pin down to someone one thing and really say that this is what I want. So MI will really help, because we are so much into a media oriented society. We have, all our intelligences are almost on similar lines, except 2 or 3, but all are on the dominant section that we have. But out of which is that specific one that will help me success in my career, is something that will help you. And that's why children need to be, it is important that we identify their likes and focus on that, channelize our methods of teaching to foster that. Then they will be able to pick it up and go ahead with a proper career that they can choose. Yes, I think probably we'll be able. I'll just, yeah, this is, I was truly blessed that our that Shri Narendra Modi ji, when he was the Chief Minister at of Gujarat, had taken up, I had sent the book on multiple intelligence, which comprises of lesson plans. And this book has lesson plans of all the subjects. And Sir had appreciated on the efforts that was taken towards this. I really thank that Shri Narendra Modi ji had appreciated the efforts, and that's when we really look forward that this is one area that our children need to be addressed, and we need to focus, and it is not difficult. I have been doing this for the last almost 10-12 years, and I know that it really makes a difference among children.
Great. I think, thank you so much, Dr. Rani. Multiple intelligence, when we talk about assessment and how to use it in a classroom, it's a discussion which I don't think, 60 minutes can do justice to. And we are seeing with, the number of questions, I'm sure we can go on for another hour. But, given our time risk commitment, we would like to end this session. Thank you so much once again on behalf of all of us at Crimson Education for making time from your schedule and sharing your thoughts with us. It was really interesting to listen to everything that you had to share. Thank you, participants.
Yes, Hussain, can I just add, there was one person who just asked a question about saying that there are 9 intelligences. Yes, the 9th one is existentialism, but not much of study has been done on that. And it is, there has been an extensive study done, but in classrooms today, we focus on most of the 8 intelligences that we discussed today. Yes. Sorry to interrupt you, Hussain.
No worries, no worries. I think your eagerness to, ensure that, every query gets attended is something so nice to, see that happening. Thank you so much. Thank you, participants. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow we have a session by Dr. Swati Popat-Vats, and she'll be talking about brain development in the early years. So definitely, the principals and the heads of sections who are here with us, please ensure your teachers in the early years, pre-primary section, and even, lower primary, definitely attend the session tomorrow. Thank you and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.